The wisdom of Bruno Groning. I don't know much, I don't know more than others, but I know one, and that is what people no longer know. That is why I see my duty to teach each individual who he belongs to, what creation he is, and how to receive the power of Creator, to become the owner of your own body with his help. The existence of God was a reality for Bruno Groning. The inner consciousness became an awareness of the existence of Almighty Power that many people could no longer believe. Bruno Groning explained to his listeners the true nature of man as follows. "Who are you?" he asked. "Are you your body?" Investigated further. He denied it and insisted on this. "Who are you truly?" He explained to our silence that since ancient times we have not been the body but the spirit. God has lent us the body for this earthly life only. We receive it at birth and give it back to earth as soon as we go home. Our soul creates a connection between the spirit and the body and takes good and bad experiences from here to the other world. The soul is the bearer of the spark of God, which, when one opens oneself in faith, allows a relationship with God. But if the soul becomes incredulous, the connection with God will be broken. Therefore, the body is not the essential in man. The body is only a box for the soul and the spirit. Man is a spirit. His body is a gift that God has entrusted to him as a tool for earthly life. One's own purpose is to use the body for good and transform good thoughts into action. Man is the creation of love. What is created in love can only live in love. Love is God. For centuries, man has distanced himself from nature, from faith in God. Everyone believes they can defend themselves on their own. Now we are on this earth. Now we will do what we want and we will be able to help ourselves, everyone thought. But I let you know that no one can be helped without God. Who believes that he can separate himself from the nature that God has created so beautifully for all of us? Then he can go wherever he wants. Many thought that they could be different from the others by turning their backs on nature and climbing the stages of culture. Here is the error. That is precisely what is missing. Nature, back to nature, back to our Lord God, back to faith in God, back to faith in good in people. I myself never ask anyone to what religion, what faith or nationality do they belong. The main thing is that you have God in your heart. But whoever has lost faith in God and expects God's help must seek and find the way to God again. Those who have found this path and belief, those who feel compelled to act in accordance with this belief, will also receive help. We are all children of God, and we have only one Father, and that is God. All people, regardless of their nationality, race, or religion, are worthy of help. God is the best doctor. One cannot heal, he can be only mediator of the energy that brings healing. The healing current or divine power is a force that can help and heal people. This power is widely available to all people. All you have to do is to learn to reopen it. You cannot see it or catch it, but you can feel it. The prerequisite for healing and acceptance of this divine power is the will to help, as well as to be open internally and externally. Trust and believe that the divine power helps and heals. Faith in good is therefore the same prerequisite as the will to be healthy. Man is surrounded on all sides by healing waves that he only needs to receive. God created the man as good and healthy. That's how he wants to have him. Originally, people were in full communion with God. There was only love, harmony and health. Everything was in unity. But when the first man obeyed the voice that belonged to the evil one, who spoke to him from outside his unity, and acted on this voice, this connection was broken. And since then, God has been here, and there on the other side is man. There was a great gap between God and man. There is no connection. Man who depends on himself can be a believer and pray, but he will be attacked by evil on his way through life and sunk in debt. You have come to this place on your way. You are experiencing misfortune, pain, incurable suffering. I tell you, don't go any further. I call you to a great turn on this road. Come here and build a bridge over the abyss. Come from the path of suffering to the path of God. There is no suffering, there is no pain, there is no incurable. Everything is fine here. Nothing is impossible for God. Let go of hatred and envy, because you live the way you are. Hate and envy create discord and dispute. Consider every word, every sentence you say, and every thought you accept, if it's worth being accepted. We are all architects of our own happiness, because what we sow, we reap the same. Everyone becomes their own doctor. Trust and believe the power of God helps and heals. Love the life, God. God is everywhere. Money is power, health is omnipotent. Every healed man can transmit his healing. Good in man must suppress evil. Throw away your suffering. You are helped because you believed. I can help a person who wants to find the way to good, but I must not take away his decision or force him to do good. Everyone has to find their own way. There should be fewer words, but even more action. Man must be aware again that his body is valuable only if it is in the order of God. It should never happen that the body controls the spirit, but the spirit controls the body. Man acts in accordance with his will. As is the will, such is a thought. Thought moves a person to action. He who dedicates himself to illness keeps it firm and closes the way for the power of God. One must separate from the disease, not consider it his property. The disease doesn't belong to man. It is so important which thoughts one accepts, because thoughts are forces. Watch out for any negative thoughts. He would have to be aware of that today. If he accepted just one bad thought, he would always realize again that the other bad thoughts followed it. And then he also said bad words. Whatever it is that you receive, you must return it. If you receive single evil thought, you will become a servant of evil. But every negative thought, every bad word and every bad action has a harmful effect on the body, that is. When the spirit is not connected to God and is open to negative forces, it can cause diseases of the body. But what can be done about depression, doubts and obstructive thoughts, fear, and how to deal with them? Suddenly they emerge out of nowhere, literally walking in and wanting to influence your mood. What is one supposed to do? God created man in such a way that he could make his own decisions through his thoughts, words and actions. If a bad thought appears before your inner vision, you can easily but surely reject it. If he remains steadfast in his decision, evil must yield and cannot gain any power of him. Man decides his own destiny by his own free will. Take your attention away from this evil and look out of the window. See where the good, the truly divine dwells. Surely you will confirm to me that sometimes you look at nature, that you observe how everything wakes up in the spring and begins to grow, how a new life emerges, how everything turns green before your eyes. And when you closely observe all of nature, you begin to feel and perceive that bad thoughts are leaving you. Only this simple observation of nature has connected you with God. When the soul reopens the flow of God's power and unites with the Spirit, the healing of the body will follow. For this reason, the attitude of the Spirit is crucial. Body treatment may have some effect, but will not eliminate the cause. Only man himself can remove it if he makes a big turn. You must know that you belong to yourself. Love your neighbors as yourself. It is my wish, it is my will that this happens. Once people meet again, it will be possible to help everyone. There is much that cannot be explained, but nothing that cannot happen. Give me your illnesses and your worries. You will not be able to handle them yourself. I will carry them for you. If you give the disease freely so that I can take it from you, it is good. If you hold it firmly, then I must not do anything either. If I take a disease from a position of power, I would sin. I must not steal. Who can forget it? Him I can set free, because he gave it freely, not only in thought but also in deeds. You should listen to my word. I don't want to influence you. If you freely deliver the disease, I will take away all your suffering. If one wants to regain health through Bruno Groning, one must be willing to give up evil. They have to turn their backs on the bed, the disease, separate from it. Never again think, my asthma, my rheumatics, my problems, etc. It is not always easy. It requires an internal transformation. You have to change your mind from scratch. You have to believe not how are you used to in illness, but in health. You have to accept the belief that even incurable suffering is curable. I have always made it clear to each individual. He who has found his way to me must leave his fears, his worries, and above all his money at home. Please forget to describe me your sufferings or list them all individually. One should not cling to diseases, one should not think about them and deal with them daily. One should be able to relax and dismiss such thoughts. You have to ask yourself, what is happening to my body now? God gives us everything good. We just have to accept everything He sends us. Let's do it. You just have to prepare and open yourself to receive the true transmission sent by God. You will discover how to achieve this transmission. But I have to say over and over that it only happens when you pay real attention to your body, to what happens in it, a lot less what happens around him, but only inside in your own body. Bruno explained why posture is so important as follows. If you would focus on your body now and be able to give it your full attention with goodwill. Those who still have freely moving body often like to squeeze it convulsively. It is also a power of habit. Cross your legs. Surely sometimes one can rest, that is stretch, rest, but not when one wants to receive the good, that of God. Then you must be free. You must sit here or stand with your hands open and empty. You must have your desire in your heart. You must ask God to give you what you really need. If you always do this, friends, you will not only receive something, you will receive and feel what your body asks for, what your body needs. There must be regulatory pain, says Groning. People often fear when the pain occurs, the conditions got worse. They are scared and they say, "It is worse, we will go to the doctor." Groning says, "That's why I warn you, when regulatory pain come, accept them. Nothing worse can happen than the healing." It only depends on the man himself, how he can take care of himself, his body. If he accepts the power of God in his heart, he remains in the guidance of God, then he is under protection. But if he escapes from this guide, he has no protection. It is not like people think that the sickness is God's punishment. Let's compare it when a child leaves his parents' house. So the parents can no longer have a protective hand on them. They can no longer protect their child. Take a bowl full of fruits that have been lying for days and no one has cared for them and no one knew they should be cared for, and they were spoiled. These fruits are no longer useful, and now sometimes comes and wants to give you new and healthy fruits. So it would be very silly if these new and healthy fruits were put on top of the old ones, because the new ones would spoil just like the previous ones. If you want a healthy fruit, you must first put aside the bad, the unhealthy and the inedible. But not only that, you should also clean the fruit bowl so that it can accept the healthy ones. Line up a container with your body and fruit with your diseased organs. And health is what you expect, but it's impossible if you can't throw away the bad, in which case it means you're dealing with your illness. Long-lasting negative thoughts weaken a person and cause disorders in the soul and body, which sooner or later can manifest themselves as real illnesses. Positive thoughts revive a person, give him strength, encourage and strengthen his health. Most people tend to deal with negative thoughts out of habit, unaware of how they are harming themselves. Likewise, constant thinking about a disease is a big obstacle to its treatment. Each negative thought, each thought about a disease, prevents the entry of healing forces into a person. The thought of evil in his body is like a fog, within which he is wrapped, and which doesn't let in the light of the divine power that would bring him strengthening and purification. If one wants to accept the good, one has to empty himself internally. One has to voluntarily get rid of all these negative ideas. Cleansing of the body of negative energies is accomplished through the inflow of good and positive forces, which are then largely received in the healing stream. My friends, it is up to you how you accept the good. And when can you accept it? Not until you free yourself from evil, until you have nothing to do with evil. Before that, it is not possible to receive the healing. So open your hearts, really pour out everything. Away with all the worries and sorrows. Most people can't do it. It's just a habit. They can't do anything but produce more and more problems. Many people are so full of thoughts about their illness that they cannot speak on other topics. Without realizing it, they often associate through their thoughts with what is causing them pain and what they would like to get rid of, and impose on their subconsciousness an image of poverty and suffering from a worsening disease, and thus contribute to this worsening. Any healing power is constantly hampered in its creative intentions. These people are unknowingly working diligently to bring their dreaded evil into reality. Often, despite many good therapies, these people's health gets worse. But few can see the true cause of this condition, and even few can find fault within themselves. However, the fact that doctors cannot see these connections either remains unclear. In this way, one is freed from the responsibility of thoughts with such dangerous consequences for him. What applies to thoughts applies even more to spoken words. Dear friends, I don't think you came here today just to list all of your worries and sorrows. Surely you would like to complain, to bring about the repentance from your loved ones. I know, you are used to it, talking about what hurts you, what evil you have to see in your own body. But only what you can see, hear, taste, smell or touch. But you have never come to the idea that you are responsible for your body being attacked by this evil. He who deals with his illness keeps it firmly united with him, thus closing the way for the power of God. Think only good, speak only good, do only good. A person who knows the power of the word is careful with his words. However, the truth is that many people are too weak to suddenly make their thoughts and words good in the face of all the negative they have encountered in their lives. In those moments, one should not be left alone. In an instant, he would be conceived by this negative power again and would be forced to describe in words his pain to others, whose compassion and bad thoughts would hasten his mental decline. In his speeches, Bruno Groning points out that in such a situation, one must turn to the loved one, who is strong in faith, and must pour out the heart to soothe the soul. Then, together with the other person, he should receive divine healing power, say goodbye to all the negative and dedicate his trust to God. This loved one should follow with an advice and actions by his side until things are in order and the patient firmly believes in his ability. Only in this way can it be easier for a person who has experienced so much negative to connect with the good in his soul and also maintain this connection. However, care must be always taken not to repeat the pouring out of the heart so that it occurs only once. Worries and pain should not be molded by thoughts and words more than once, if help is expected from higher places. How a person wastes the time in which he slanders his neighbors, relatives, friends, when he worries about how one or the other lives. Dear friend, I tell you, first of all, take care of your own life. First of all, make sure you get into God's guidance. If you want to talk about someone, condemn him, that's already the bad thing. In short, folks, get rid with the silly chatter and slander. What one sows also reaps. That is, everything that the person sends out with words or deeds returns to him. Everyone receives what they give. How are you in life? What did you do? What did you say? What thoughts did you accept? Didn't you show too much interest in hearing about evil? That is, what was an extraordinary event for you, just to have a topic of conversation? Do not fall asleep. There was always so much interesting, there was always so much to listen to read. There was also a lot of evil to see. But that will probably continue to be the case for most of humanity. I love my enemies. The villain is always caught in his own nets. There is a law that people must follow all their lives. Yes, it is love of neighbor. What you can't see, you can feel. That's why your body has more senses, but you have to know them, you have to use them all. In short, man has lost his true human instinct. Therefore, he cannot be guided, he cannot be remotely controlled. God has lost his leadership because man has worked hard at it. I know it is my duty to give to people on their way an offer to change so that they can find their human instincts again. I didn't let myself retrain how humanity is retrained. So many books. One writes on a subject in one way and the other writes differently. What is the truth? We live in chaos. Humans must learn from animals, we must return, but not to become animals, but to find our lost human instinct. Spiritually strengthened means that a person can perceive again through his soul that has been inserted into his body by God, so that he can receive the transmission of God through the soul. Man is a spirit, he has a soul, and for this life on earth, he has established himself in the human body. You have to take care of how you use time and all opportunities for yourself and your body, because you need to have enough power so that you don't have to fear anything bad, so that this reserve of power facilitate the fight against evil, which can then be carried out in peace and tranquility. Only then can man live in the order of God. I think, friends, it would be better if I openly told the truth how people spend their lives here, because few people have experienced anything in their lives. Most will only spend it. They will waste precious time. We can experience many wonderful things, many divine things, and if we can experience the divine, we will receive the divine in our hearts. We will feel happy, we will be free, we will live as God predestined for man. But what do most of us do? Yes, what I already said and what I say again. One has no time for himself. Here is a job, here is the house, here is the work. Now I have to come here and then I have to go there. Oh no, I can't miss it, I can't miss it. Oh no, I don't have time now. People only regretted all of this after the evil has entered their bodies, and only then did they realize that they had the time. If you don't want to listen, you must feel it. Then they have to find their place where they can receive divine peace, and thus put their bodies back in order. If that is not enough once, twice, they have to do it constantly daily. But that is apparently too much for most of you. He who has no time for himself, friends, is not a pious person. He really deviates from God. Everyone must always find time for themselves and their bodies.